Tip-off is 2 words. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 43rd annual Pete ARRAS Memorial Basketball Tournament hosted by the Batavia Lions Club. My name is Alex Brasky, alongside my partner in crime, AJ Cybulski, who will join us in a bit to provide his preview of tonight's matchups, the first round of the 43rd annual Pete ARRAS Memorial Basketball Tournament. This event is named in honor of the late Pete ARRAS, the man who helped create and run this event for nearly 40 years. ARRAS passed away in 2016 after a life of service to the Batavia community, which included time as a school principal and as president of the Batavia Lions Club. Before we get too deep into tonight's broadcast, let us first thank our sponsors on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network, beginning with our scoreboard sponsor, Genesee Community College, which is playing host to this tournament. Are you looking to kickstart your career in health and physical education? Look no further than GCC. Whether you dream of teaching, coaching, personal training, or sports management, GCC has the programs to prepare you for jobs that are in high demand. Take advantage of a high-quality curriculum, excellent faculty, experiential learning, and great facilities. Join them at GCC and be the game changer you've always wanted to be. To learn more, visit genesee.edu/physed. Also, our timeout sponsor for this evening, Crazy Cheap Cars, the ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com, where they carry the largest selection of over 150 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs of any dealer in the Genesee region. At Crazy Cheap Cars, they need your trade-in and will pay top dollar for your trade. So give them a call at 585-948-8000, or better yet, they'll see you right here. Also, Zoom Total Fitness. Fitness for all levels, personal training, cross-training, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and yoga. 24/7 access with only $35 per month in membership fees. New equipment in a super clean facility available. Training, classes, infrared sauna, and more. 585-861-8995. Told you about GCC. Also, Hans Moeller Jewelers. Our specialty is custom-made bridal and special occasion jewelry, as well as maintaining a large inventory of pre-made fashion jewelry and everyday gifts. Their goal is to provide heirloom quality jewelry and exceptional service while keeping prices at an affordable level. Visit Hans Moeller Jewelers, located in Attica, or call today at 585-591-1440. The Daily News and Livingston County News are your most comprehensive sources for local sports in the Glow region. If you would like to sponsor one of our live streams, please contact Bridget or Jamie at 585-343-8000. They are your media and digital consultants. So here we are at Genesee Community College, the Pete ARRAS Memorial Tournament hosted by the Batavia Lions Club, getting ready for the national anthem and pregame introductions. But now that we have a bit of housekeeping out of the way, allow me to introduce you to a bit of tournament history before we lock in on what is to come over the next several hours of tournament play with AJ's tournament preview. Started in 1982, the first annual Lions Club tournament featured Byron Burgeon, Notre Dame, Batavia, and Albion as its original members. The Bees won the first ever Lions Club crown over Albion and would go on to win each of the first three tournament titles. It took until 1985 for Batavia to meet Notre Dame in the final game, when the Irish handled the Blue Devils 65-52, but 2 years later it was Batavia's turn to finally break through with their first Lions Club title. The Devils edged the Irish in overtime 61-53 in the 1989 title game, which was not only Batavia's first ever Lions Club tournament championship, but it was the first of back-to-back titles for Batavia. After their consecutive titles, the Blue Devils would go on to win 15 of the next 21 tournaments and held a streak of 8 straight tournament championships until their first-round loss to University Prep of Rochester in 2014. Prior to that loss, Batavia last lost a tournament game in 2003. Since that loss, Batavia hadn't lost a tournament game until their first round defeat at the hands of Attica in 2021. originally a 4-team format, the tournament was adjusted to an 8-team event in 2018, featuring the small school and large school bracket that remains in place today. Leroy, Roy-Hart, Oakfield, Alabama, Attica, and Elba have remained in the tournament since the format was adjusted alongside Batavia and Notre Dame, while Alexander joined the fold shortly thereafter. Perry and Mount Morris have also participated since transitioning to a 4-team format, Perry in 2019 and Mount Morris in 2018. After a continuous stretch since the event's inception, the tournament was canceled during the 2020 season due to the COVID-19 pandemic before Oakfield, Alabama and Leroy took home the titles in 2021. Notre Dame and Batavia won the titles during the 2022 season, while Batavia won its second straight crown last year, along with Alexander, both of whom hope to defend their titles in the large school and small school brackets, respectively. Both championship games will be held on Monday night. All right, AJ, how about diving into tonight's matchup? Leroy taking on Roy-Hart in the first round of the large school bracket.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different this year, Alex, for the Oaxaca Knights, losing a player, the all-time program leading scorer in Merritt Holly, doing great things over at Nazareth University. But they're still playing well this year. 3-2 through 5 games, have victories over Albion, Pavilion, and Holly. They lost to defending Section 5 Class B2 champions Avon and Hornell, so 2 really good teams in the Livingston Conference. And with that, the national anthem will start, so I'll resume following the national anthem. Leroy is coached by Mike Battaglia, and the key players include Gene Augusto, Adam Woodworth, Matthew Hockey, and Jake Higgins. In a recent win against Holly, just highlighting Augusto's performance, he recorded 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was a player last year that had a role for the Oaxaca Knights, but trying to fill that role left by Merritt Holly. For Roy-Hart, representing Section 6, 1-5 this year, they're coached by Notre Dame alumnus Joe Pollock, and they actually played Notre Dame earlier this season and lost 56-49. They are averaging 50.2 points per game on the offensive end this year.
All right, so ready to jump it up here at Genesee Community College. Roy-Hart and Leroy. It's Gene Augusto and Enrique Powell to tip it up, and Leroy comes away with the opening possession. Inside jumper. Oh, a little 15-footer, and Leroy's on the board. It is 2-0. Oaxaca Knights, a nice jumper there from Adam Woodworth, one of the key players listed in AJ's pregame preview, as a drive from Roy-Hart results in an offensive foul. Sliding in to take the charge, Jake Higgins, and it'll go back to the Knights.
That's how you set the tone early. A nice mid-range jumper against the zone. That's how you beat the 2-3 zone. You shoot from the high post. Woodworth buries it, and on the other end, a big charge taken by Higgins there.
So here's Leroy setting things up. First-year head coach Mike Battaglia, also the varsity softball coach at Leroy, as Higgins finishes inside.
Strong start here for Higgins in this one.
Yeah, he's a physical player, an aggressive player, really the Energizer bunny for this Leroy team. Like you said, missing Merritt Holly Jr. from last year, but Gene Augusto has taken the reins as their leading scorer. Had a big performance the other night, looking for a few more here in this tournament. And another offensive foul committed by the Rams. Tyson McCaw running through a Leroy defender and going the other way.
Anytime you start a game with 2 charges taken in the first minute, your coach is going to be a happy person, and hopefully that translates for Leroy on the offensive end.
You mentioned Coach Pollock on Roy-Hart's side. Notre Dame alumnus. Proud to play in this tournament every year. Also played as a player. The Rams haven't had a boatload of success in this first round, but looking for a victory here tonight.
Yeah, Gene Augusto, you saw what he can do on the interior, gets to the rim and gets fouled. Now let's see if he can convert on these free throws. He does on the first.
So Augusto 1 for 1. I'd like to thank the Batavia Lions Club for hosting this tournament each year. It's a great event in the Genesee County community. Gym typically fills up as the night goes on and then really gets packed for the championship games, which will be hosted on Monday. But a mid-afternoon to late afternoon contest here, and another turnover from the Rams. It's a double dribble.
Yeah, too many turnovers here to start for Roy-Hart. They need to find their rhythm, and it's going to start here on this defensive possession. Try and get a stop and see if it can translate to the other side.
Augusto tries to go baseline, dribbles it out of bounds. Nice defense applied by West Jackson.
That's how you get in front of Augusto. You step in front of him and make him go through you, or try and go around you, and the fouls, or he makes a mistake and it goes the other way.
So here are the Rams looking for their first bucket of this one. Nice hesitation, and the finish inside for Dan Aquilina.
Yeah, good move there by Aquilina. Like you said, hesitation, finish at the rim, good body control, good start there.
3 ball from Higgins. No good. Rebound goes to Matt Aquilina. Roy-Hart quickly the other way, but they're forced to slow it up. Risky cross-court pass. Woodworth nearly picked it off. Aquilina for 3. No good off the back iron. Rebound goes to West Jackson. He feeds it inside, and the foul as Braden Ricker will head to the line.
Good way to track that rebound down by Roy-Hart, get the extra opportunity, and we'll see if they can convert here at the line.
First free throw from Ricker, no good. If you're Roy-Hart, the way this game started, you need everything you can get. Can't afford to leave these empty trips to the line as they do there with Ricker. So 4-point game, nearing the midpoint here in the first quarter. Nice dribble drive, floater from the short corner from Eric Luce. Offensive rebound goes to Gene Augusto, and that's what we've seen plenty of these past several years. He's been a rebounding machine. He's played second fiddle inside offensively, but that hasn't stopped him from swallowing everything up off the board.
Yeah, Leroy's moving the ball well right now against this 2-3 zone. Obviously rebounding well, like you mentioned, with Augusto, and the offense is, again, moving the ball well and finding quality shots, especially on this possession, and now they get the ball here with a full shot clock.
Woodworth will head to the line for 2 shots. Sub coming on for Roy-Hart. Vinny Fazio steps in for Dan Aquilina. And a bench warning issued to Coach Pollock.
Upset with the call there on that I think he probably was questioning whether it was a shooting foul or not, but unsure if that was the case. It looked like it was on the floor, but nonetheless, Leroy cashes in with a 6-point lead here.
I think what he's most upset with is Aquilina now with 2 fouls in this one. And what he's saying to the official is that's one of my best players, and if you're going to give him 2 fouls, make him earn it. Don't give him a cheap one like that. Higgins on the wing, guarded closely by Matt Aquilina. Augusto goes baseline. He's doubled. Nice help side defense by Fazio, and he creates the turnover. Great job coming over from the weak side by Fazio, sticking his nose in there.
We'll see if Augusto can adjust on that help side defender. He has 2 on him in the paint almost every time. If he can kick it out, there's people on the three-point line open for some three-point opportunities.
Yeah, I think if you're Roy-Hart, you have to go inside out in terms of your defense. Got to make Leroy beat you with the 3 here tonight. Rebound inside. Count it! Enrique Powell gets position on Augusto and finishes inside. And he'll head to the line looking to complete the 3-point play.
Good finish from Powell, and we'll see if he can convert this and one here. Lengthy player for Roy-Hart.
And he does. 3-point game after Leroy started with a 6-0 advantage. Roy-Hart settling in, and one area where Roy-Hart does have the advantage despite Augusto's size and strength, they do have the size advantage. They have a lot of length, as you mentioned there, with Powell able to create the takeaway. Also the Aquilinas. And Wes Jackson doing a nice job on Augusto one-on-one inside. So look for Roy-Hart to continue to swarm Augusto inside and make it difficult for him. And then on the other end, they continue to pound that ball inside, and Powell headed to the line once again. Yeah,
some good ball handling showcase there from Powell, taking the steal and dribbling through multiple defenders, and again going back to the line where he just made a free throw and converted on an and one.
And Powell 2 for 2 from the line early. He's got a good stroke.
Got to appreciate the lefties.
For sure. On our scoreboard, presented by Genesee Community College, explore careers in health and physical education. 1-point game, and Powell, another takeaway. Roy-Hart with a chance to seize the advantage here. A lob cross court. Fazio, no good, but a rebound. And the putback for Braden Ricker. And Roy-Hart in control of this one now. Leroy may need to consider banging a timeout. And they do. Coach Batavia calls for time, and Coach Pollock is pumped. This timeout brought to you by Crazy Cheap Cars. The ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com. So early in this one, Leroy takes a 6-0 lead, and Roy-Hart claps back with a 9-2 run. And it's a 9-8 lead for the Rams.
Yeah, it was turnovers early for Roy-Hart on the offensive end, and now they're forcing turnovers on the defensive end. Powell taking advantage of it, and now you're looking at a deficit here for Leroy early on. Like you mentioned, they started hot, but it is not going their way the last couple of possessions on the offensive end.
So to take it out is Matthew Hockey. 3-ball, no good. Leroy gets the offensive rebound. Woodworth up top, skips it over to Luce. Now inside to Augusto, and they're going to double down on him. Woodworth inside to Higgins. Nice ball movement. And the lay-in for Higgins through the contact. 3-point play opportunity coming up.
Great awareness there from Augusto. He did adjust, saw the defense collapse, kicks it out to Woodworth, and then a great pass to Higgins for the N1.
Hockey, a long line of talented basketball players that come through this region in recent seasons. His brother Michael, the eldest, then Mitchell, and now Matthew. Higgins can't convert the three-point play. Leroy takes the lead, however. It's 10-9. Powell down the lane, kicks it out. Jackson, West Jackson. They often say never trust a man with two first names. West Jackson has two last names. I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty unique stuff. As an offensive foul, they tried to feed Powell down in the post there, but I think he went over the top, behind the back, and it was called on Roy-Hart. So offensive rebounds, I think, for both sides right now are a big factor in this one. We'll see who can start boxing out and grabbing these defensive rebounds on each side.
I think conversely to the old adage with two first names, I think if you have two last names, I think you're extra trustworthy.
Probably. You don't see that often.
As Jagger Smith has checked into the game for Leroy. And a foul called in the backcourt. Also into the game for the Oaken Knights, Xander Staba. And Jagger Smith enters the game, and he's in the stat sheet with a foul. Matt Aquilina on the putback. Leroy's doing a subpar job getting a body on these offensive rebounders. They need to start boxing out or it's going to be a long night.
100% agree. That's what's allowing Roy-Hart to get these extra opportunities. Second chance points abundant right now for Roy-Hart.
Hockey knocks it down.
Nice pull-up jumper there from Hockey. One of the hardest shots, especially at the high school level, to perfect. But it's good to see that players are starting to do it more and more in the high school realm of things.
Coach Batavia, who did a nice job with this program, helping build it back to relevancy on a consistent basis. Powell, no good. That's two possessions in a row where Roy-Hart's, as Woodworth finishes in transition, Roy-Hart, the layup man, has gotten his own rebound twice in a row. Powell couldn't put it back that time, but boy, oh boy, Leroy's got to start getting a body on these Rams. Nonetheless, 14-11 lead for the Oaken Knights. Powell at the high post now. Jumper with the left hand, no good. Hockey on the rebound. Quickly the other way for Leroy. Higgins. 5-point lead for the Knights. Matt Aquilina, no good from three to conclude the first quarter of play. A roller coaster first 8 minutes. Leroy jumps out to his 6-0 lead. Roy-Hart responds with a 9-2 run to take a 9-8 advantage. And now it's 16-11 Leroy at the break. We'd like to thank a few more of our sponsors. Beginning with Zoom Total Fitness. Zoom Total Fitness, fitness for all levels. Personal training, cross-training, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and yoga. 24/7 access with only $35 per month in membership fees. New equipment in a super clean facility available, training classes, infrared sauna, and more. 585-861-8995. Also, our scoreboard sponsor, Genesee Community College. Are you looking to kickstart your career in health and physical education? Look no further than GCC. Whether you dream of teaching, coaching, personal training, or sports management, GCC has the programs to prepare you for jobs that are in high demand. Take advantage of a high-quality curriculum, excellent faculty, experiential learning, and great facilities. Join them at GCC and be the game changer you've always wanted to be. Also, Hans Moeller Jewelers. Their specialty is custom-made bridal and special occasion jewelry, as well as maintaining a large inventory of pre-made fashion jewelry and everyday gifts. Their goal is to provide heirloom quality jewelry and exceptional service while help keep prices at an affordable level. Visit Hans Muller Jewelers, located in Attica, or call today, 585-591-1440. Second quarter play. AJ, your breakdown of the first quarter.
Yeah, I think a lot sloppy play on both sides of the ball offensively, and Leroy able to run the floor. As I'm saying that, a turnover by Roy-Hart. But, yeah, I think both sides kind of settling into this game. Offensive rebounding on both sides I thought has been good. So I think both sides need to rebound on the defensive end, and that will kind of turn the tide as to who's going to take control of this game.
Loose on the wing, down to the short corner for Augusto. He has it ripped away. And a foul called on Roy-Hart.
And also want to add Jake Higgins, very impressed with him on the inside, finishing through contact, good body control. So he's a player that has really caught my eye for Leroy in this first quarter. And then also on the other end, Powell for Roy-Hart. He missed a few shots late, but he's done a good job rebounding and scoring for the Roy-Hart.
In the lane, Cole Tonzi into the game now for the Knights, and he misses the floater. Powell kicks it out to Fazio. Fadeaway jumper from the elbow, way off the mark. Questionable shot selection there.
Yeah, that's a tough shot off one leg while moving. I would not advise that.
Woodworth from the high post, no good. Nice rebound by Matt Aquilina. As really Roy-Hart's run was quelled when Dan Aquilino went out with his second foul early in the first quarter. That's loomed large here for the Rams. And out of bounds, it's going to stay with Roy-Hart.
If he's in the corner, do whatever you can to keep him there, and Augusto did a good job of getting hands on that ball.
Checking in is Grady Gilligan for Leroy for the first time. As Roy-Hart takes a timeout, and this timeout brought to you by Crazy Cheap Cars, the ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com, where they carry the largest selection of over 150 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs of any dealer in the Genesee region. At Crazy Cheap Cars, they need your trade-in and will pay top dollar for your trade. So give them a call at 585-948-8000, or better yet, they'll see you right here. So after the timeout from Roy-Hart, they'll have it on the side in front of the Leroy bench. To beat the shot clock, Fazio misses the rim, and it'll go to the Oaken Knights.
Great defense there from Leroy. Forcing the issue and tight man-to-man all the way at the top, almost near midcourt.
Powell in transition. So coming up next, we have our first matchup of the small school bracket. It'll be Elba versus Alexander, and a travel called on hockey. AJ, why don't you give us a quick breakdown of what to expect between the Lancers and Trojans, two teams experiencing contrasting results so far this season.
Yeah, Alexander, led by head coach Jalen Smith, and recent 1,000-point scorer Dylan Pohl. They're 1 year removed from an appearance in the Section 5 Class C2 title game where they fell to Byron Burgeon.
And the defending champion of this tournament.
Alexander 4-2 and goes into this tournament riding a 3-game winning streak with victories over Attica, Kendall, and Byron Burgeon. And then in their most recent win against Byron Burgeon, Dylan Pohl definitely was a force, finishing with 35 points and 14 rebounds for the team.
Blocking foul called on Fazio.
On the other side, Alba, they're coming off a trip to the Section 5 Class D championship and
Braden Chase into the game for Leroy. Also into the game for Roy-Hart, Isaac Smith.
However, it's been a struggle here for Alba so far. 0-4, lost some games. Wayland Cohocton, Oakfield, Alabama, Wheatland Chili, Notre Dame. The head coach for the Lancers is Chachi Zambito, and Ryan Marcial is the team's leading scorer, and that's what we have on Alba. They're a team that last year was the number 7 seed in Class D and made a run to the sectional championship, so never count them out as a team that can maybe make a run later on.
Get our scoreboard reset for you. Had some technical difficulties here. 19-13 our score, 5:08 remaining in the second quarter. So hoping for another good game in our second matchup. I think Alexander comes in as a pretty heavy favorite, but anything can happen in this tournament. So we got our scoreboard back on track here as Powell knocks down a free throw. Powell can't hit the second. Eric Luce on the rebound for Leroy. Powell, boy, he does a great job jumping into the passing lane. In transition, Roy-Hart can't get the finish as Ricker missed the lay-in, and now it's Leroy sprinting the other way, and it's Hockey to increase the lead to 6. Back and forth we go here at GCC on the Genesee Community College scoreboard. Explore careers in health and physical education. Learn more at genesee.edu/phys ed. It's a 7-point lead for Leroy now, approaching the 4-minute mark here in the second quarter. Roy-Hart's got to stop the bleeding if they hope to enter halftime with a chance.
One 3-1 now here from Roy-Hart. We'll see how Leroy attacks it.
Along the baseline, nice post passing. Allows Jagger Smith a chance, but he's off the mark. Powell saves it, and it goes off Grady Gilligan and out of bounds. So it's going to be Roy-Hart ball. As you see, Batavia interim head coach Anthony Macaluso watching from above. Macaluso, a former coach within the Leroy program, served as the JV coach under Weinman for the past few seasons. Now over at his old stomping grounds, Batavia, where he previously served as an assistant under head coach Buddy Brasky, as Eric Luce knocks down a big 3. Leroy on a run, and they increase the advantage to 10. Now Macaluso over at Batavia, as Brasky has encountered some health issues, and Macaluso is now the interim head coach of the Blue Devils. He will be on the bench tonight for Batavia as they take on Attica in the other large school bracket game, as Luce finishes in transition. And the winner of Batavia Attica will take on the winner of this one. We'll tell you more about that matchup as this game goes along. But Roy-Hart really struggling now. They need a timeout. As in transition, it's Braden Chase for the lane. And they've watched Leroy's lead swell to 14 here in the first half.
Leroy's done a great job of running the floor and getting easy buckets on the other end. Roy-Hart, really no one in sight sometimes on the defensive end. Easy layups for Leroy to convert on.
Subs coming on. It's Dan Aquilina finally back into the game for Roy-Hart, while Xander Staba and Woodworth have checked back in for Leroy. And another turnover, miscommunication on the inbound pass. Leroy the other way. Nice post passing. And Hockey with the finish inside. 16-point lead. And finally, a timeout called by the Rams. This timeout brought to you by Crazy Cheap Cars. We'll take a quick break and be right back here from Genesee Community College. All right, so out of the timeout, Roy-Hart will have it. Now trailing by 16. They haven't scored in quite some time. Fazio looking inside for Aquilina, but he was fronted by Woodworth. Aquilina now back out to Fazio. No good on the three. Aquilina tried to corral the rebound, but couldn't get the handle on it. Here come the Knights. Jumper, Gilligan. No good. Excuse me. That was Chase. The blonde hair is what confused me. Into the corner. Three ball. No good. Ricker couldn't get the roll. Hockey leading the charge now for Leroy.
Albion needs some sense of life here before this first half closes. Roy-Hart, sorry.
That one tipped up and away. Woodworth into the corner. Nice bounce pass inside. Looked like a double dribble. No call. Coach Pollock is incensed. That was an obvious double dribble that the officials missed, but the ball don't lie as Roy-Hart collects the turnover. And a technical foul called on Pollock. Perhaps not justified with the reaction, as I don't think you're ever justified to yell at the official, but he was right in his argument. That was a clear double dribble that the officials missed. And Hockey knocks down the first free throw. Two for two for Hockey. 18-point lead for the Knights. Hockey will take a break as Tonzi checks back in. Tough to keep track with all these substitutions Leroy's making. It's like a revolving door at the scorer's table.
Yeah, Hockey at the end of his shift there, so he's got to take a break.
And a nice two-handed finish from Jagger Smith. Leroy running away with this one. 20-point lead in the first half. Corner three. Good. Tyson Mackay breaks the drought. And Roy-Hart within 17.
Almost a steal there.
No good inside. Roy-Hart quickly the other way, looking to salvage this first half with a late basket. But an injury behind the play is Fazio unable to regain his feet. Coach Bataglia wanted his team to hold for the last shot there as Fazio down in a heap. Our thoughts with this young man. Hopefully he can regain his footing. It appears to be a lower body injury for Fazio. Doesn't look good here. As we will go to a break. This break brought to you by Zoom Total Fitness. Fazio able to regain his footing. Limps off the court with the athletic trainer, hoping for the best for Fazio. It's going to be Roy-Hart ball. Time ticking away in the second quarter. Bounced in to Dan Aquilina. Turnaround off glass. And Roy-Hart, a nice job cutting it to 15 entering the half. And that is how we'll end the second quarter. Coach Pollock impressed with his team's close to the quarter. They go on a 5-0 run. And we head to halftime here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. We'll be back after a 10-minute break. right, we're back here at GCC. Leroy, 34-19 lead over Roy-Hart, the first round of the 43rd annual Pete ARRAS Memorial Basketball Tournament hosted by the Batavia Lions Club. This is the first round of the large school bracket. Winner of this game will take on the winner of Batavia versus Attica, which will take place later on tonight. We also have two other games coming up, Elba versus Alexander, which we've told you about, and then Notre Dame versus Eugenio Maria de Hostos Charter School. So 4 games total. This is the first of the 4, and Leroy will begin the third quarter of play with a 15-point lead. AJ, your impressions of that first half?
Yeah, I think Roy-Hart, and again, found themselves in a hole. They couldn't get out of it. There was kind of a lid on the basket there, and they just couldn't put the ball in the hoop. And Leroy capitalized offensively. They're running the floor very well. A lot of scorers right now for Leroy. Higgins, Hockey, Augusto playing well. So they're using a dimension of different players to put the ball in the hoop. And we'll see if Roy-Hart has an answer to start this second half. They're going to need to run here.
Ball on the ground. Woodworth down after it. And he wins the battle for the loose ball. Augusto inside. Boy, has Wes Jackson done a great job on Augusto. You haven't heard much from him tonight. I think he's also dealing with a bit of foul trouble.
Yeah, he's like a bowling ball down there. When he loses that ball, he's going to get it. He is fearless.
Inside finish for Dan Aquilina, and Roy-Hart off to a strong start to the third quarter.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Aquilina in foul trouble, and you see him get on the board to start the second half for Roy-Hart.
Yeah, Roy-Hart finished that second quarter strong, and now they followed it up with a bucket here to begin the third. Woodworth couldn't get the roll. Here's Aquilina quickly the other way. Powell in the lane, left hand, no good. And a jump ball is called. Roy-Hart will keep it on the possession arrow.
Yeah, Powell doing a good job of getting in the lane, but just seems like he's short-arming it a little bit. A lot of his shots falling short. It's something I struggled with when I played back in the day, so if he can set his feet and foul through, I think those are going to be buckets as he moves ahead.
And Augusto's fouled inside. And that call made by official Dean Norton. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dean, myself, and a few others spent a weekend in Baltimore one night.
Good time, besides the game, besides the outcome, obviously.
No alcohol involved.
No outcome.
I thought you said alcohol.
No. The outcome of the game was not in favor of the Bills there.
No, the Bills got killed. But it was a good time.
And they might have to play again.
Dean, a long-time official here in Section 5. Works this tournament each year. An Elba man through and through. Augusto collects the rebound.
9-1 run here for Roy-Hart. If they can get a couple of stops.
Augusto puts it in. So Augusto is starting to assert himself here.
Yeah, great defense initially, hands straight up on the driver, but Augusto sneaks behind the defense and lays it in for the first actual bucket for Leroy of this half.
On the Genesee Community College scoreboard, 37-23, Leroy in the lead. Dan Aquilina couldn't get the finish, rebounded by Woodworth. Augusto spinning, can't get the finish. Loose is there for the putback. And a timeout called by Roy-Hart. And AJ will tell you all about our timeout sponsor.
Crazy Cheap Cars, the ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com. They carry the largest selection of over 150 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs of any dealer in the Genesee region. They need your trade-in, top dollar paid for your trade, so give them that call at 585-948-8000, or better yet, they'll see you right there. You're seeing Augusto's impact on the game. When he gets inside the paint, there are so many unmarked defenders or players on Leroy that Roy-Hart is trying to box out that it's been easy second chance buckets down there for Leroy in the offensive end. So while Augusto may not be scoring, his impact inside is allowing the other Leroy players on offense to grab rebounds and finish with ease.
All right, so back to action here in the third quarter. The Genesee Community College scoreboard reads 39-23. And a travel called on Powell.
Yeah, good call by the official there. Not enough, I think, contact. I think he assumed Powell thought the contact was coming, but it did not, and he took a tumble to the floor. Good call.
Travel called on Augusto as he shuffled the feet. Matt Aquilina missed everything inside, and it goes back to Leroy. AJ, why don't you tell us about the nightcap tonight, the other large school matchup, Batavia and Attica. The winner of that game will play the winner of this game, as it's out of bounds off Roy-Hart.
So Batavia is 2-2 entering this tournament, led by multiple players: Carter Mullen, Justin Smith, Gavin White, Casey Mazer, and Brady Mazer. Mullen scored a team-high 21 points.
Blocking foul called against Woodworth
In a win versus Honoi Falls Lima, while Gavin White, that is, added 20, so some high-scoring numbers from those two players.
Impressive job there, skimming over Honoi because you weren't sure how to pronounce it. I was very impressed with that.
I think I said Honoi. Is that wrong?
No, but I think the way you did it was very discreet. It was very impressive. That was a broadcaster's dream there. When you don't know how to pronounce it, just say honey.
That's what you got to do sometimes. I should know how to pronounce that because I've been there and done some games there, and Batavia played them. We streamed that game and for football. But
well, this coming from the guy who pronounced Byron Burge and Byron Bergen for about the first 3 months of your stint here with the Batavia Daily News.
Yeah, it was
air ball from Powell.
That was the Brockport in me. Every time I drove through Brockport, I drove through Bergen, and that's what me and my buddies called it for 4 years. So it was an adjustment, but Byron Bergen, again, they captured a sectional title last year. But back to the preview. They, again, 2-2. I mentioned the players, their top players. Buddy Brasky will not be coaching, at least in terms of his full services. So interim head coach Anthony Macaluso will try to lead the squad to a tournament championship. And like Alex mentioned earlier, Macaluso previously served as an assistant under Brasky in previous seasons and was most recently the Leroy JV coach in 2023-2024. Attica undergoing a little bit of a transition. Clayton Bizon, Jack Janes no longer there. A couple of key players, but they do return Carter Gorski.
Also Cole Harding.
Cole Harding as well, another big-time player. So 3 big losses for Attica. And they are still coached by Rob Crowley. They are 1-1.
Finished by Ricker in transition.
They defeated the defending Section 5 Class C2 champs Byron Bergen, but lost to a tough Alexander team 50-33. So they are 1-1. And Blake Kynes, another notable name for Attica,
As Augusto finishes inside, count the basket.
Who's stepped up this year on the interior. So I'm looking for Justin Smith, Blake Hines. Blake Hines has recorded a double-double in both games for Attica. He's also the tight end on the football team and had a good season on the gridiron. So that is the matchup I'm watching for in Batavia versus Attica, is the big men, Justin Smith and Blake Hines. So that'll be at 8:15, and that'll round out our quadruple header here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network.
Tell you more about Notre Dame versus Eugenio Maria de Hostos a bit later in this contest. The third game of the day. We've already told you about the next matchup, which is Elba versus Alexander. And a little bit over-aggressive defense from Higgins. Foul call.
Only a second. That's a foul. If I was a coach trying to get an extra possession for your team, I'm okay with it, being aggressive and trying to go for the ball, force another turnover.
A timeout called by Roy-Hart. AJ will once again tell you about our timeout sponsor.
Crazy Cheap Cars, the ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com. They carry the largest selection of over 150 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs of any dealer in the Genesee region. They need your trade-in, top dollar paid for your trade, so give them that call at 585-948-8000, or better yet, they'll see you right here.
What do you think about the Bills game this weekend, AJ? It's not as consequential of a matchup as it could have been had the Chiefs fallen to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Buffalo's still trying to lock up the number 2 seed, trying to sweep the division with 2 divisional wins to conclude the year. Your outlook on Sunday's game?
Yeah, I think they need to stay healthy, first and foremost. I think that's a big thing. Late in December, already a banged-up secondary the past few weeks, so that is going to be something to watch. Hopefully they can stay healthy. If they take care of business on Sunday.
As an illegal screen or travel, 5 seconds, excuse me, as I was looking down at my roster. 5-second call on Roy-Hart.
So, yeah, I think they need to win this game. Allen can kind of put away, I think, the MVP conversation if he can go out and ball, and that would be a big thing, as that's the big discussion right now. So
don't tell that to Ryan Clark and RG3.
Oh, yeah, it's a Charles Barkley MVP. It's a Joel Embiid MVP over Nikola Jokic. The problem with the whole MVP thing is Lamar Jackson set the precedent last year with nearly Tyrod Taylor numbers. So clearly the stats don't matter as much as the success. The Bills are going to be the number 2 seed most likely, while the Ravens will probably be behind them. So I think that's where the discussion goes. The Bills were obviously not as highly touted going into the year as well. The Ravens were supposed to be this juggernaut with Derrick Henry. So Allen's doing more with less and his team's better. So I think Allen deserves the nod.
Aquilina spinning inside, but Woodworth, what a defensive effort from him here this evening. He's really been the catalyst for Leroy defensively. Great energy, plays well above his size, rebounds, great player. And out of bounds, we're going the other way. You've got a little familiarity with one of the officials as well, AJ.
Yeah, Brockport alumnus Matthew Stark, one of the best photographers for Brockport Sports while I was there. He would do the whole full circle. He was a grinder, and I think his dream was always to be a professional soccer ref. So I think he's been grinding away at the reffing scene, and hopefully he can make his way up the ranks and hopefully attain his dream here.
Sorry to as Woodworth finishes, sorry to the tallest official, I should say. Neither of us familiar with that gentleman on the far side there near midcourt. Done a nice job, though. His crew has been solid throughout, as Matt Aquilina can't get it to go. Going the other way.
Yeah, Matt Aquilina, a couple nice moves in this second half. One was an air ball, but still was able to get positioning. And that one, separated from the defender, got hockey off his body but just unable to finish. So Matt Ecolina doing a good job of getting inside, but just not able to finish here. And that's kind of been the story here for Roy-Hart in this game.
3 ball, Gilligan, no good. Staba down low to Augusto, count it.
Augusto very patient on the inside as Powell checks back in for Roy-Hart, and 00 Jagger Smith set to check in for Leroy here after the free throw. Wrong line there for Augusto, it seems.
22-point lead for Leroy. Into the game for Roy-Hart is Mackay. That one tied up by Staba. Leroy's ball.
Shout out to Leroy Volleyball and head coach Susan Staba capturing the sectional championship in the fall for girls volleyball.
Gilligan. Nice take. Chase bounces it to Gilligan, inside to Staba, no good. Gilligan fighting for the rebound, but it's secured by Matt Aquilina. Roy-Hart quickly the other way. Dan Aquilina inside, gets his own rebound, can't get the putback, however.
Roy-Hart hung around a little bit in the second half, but Leroy the back half of this third quarter, able to pour it on here as another substitution's checking in here. Alex for Roy-Hart. Isaac Smith checks in for the Rams.
.30 remaining in the third.
Last shot here for Leroy. It looks like Coach Battaglia, that's what he's looking for.
Nice floater from Gilligan. And we have reached the end of the third quarter. AJ will take you through our sponsors.
Zoom Total Fitness. Fitness for all levels. Personal training, cross-training, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and yoga. 24/7 access with only $35 per month membership, no extra fees. New equipment and a super clean facility. Training classes, infrared sauna, and more. Call 585-861-8995. Our scoreboard sponsor, SUNY GCC, looking to kickstart your career in health and physical education. Look no further than GCC. Whether you dream of teaching, coaching, personal training, or sports management, GCC has the programs to prepare you for jobs that are in high demand. Take advantage of a high-quality curriculum, excellent faculty, experiential learning, and great facilities. Join them at GCC and be the game changer you've always wanted to be. To learn more, visit genesee.edu/physed. Hans Moeller, their specialty is custom-made bridal and special occasion jewelry as well as maintaining a large inventory of pre-made fashion jewelry and everyday gifts. Their goal is to provide heirloom quality jewelry and exceptional service while keeping prices at an affordable level. Visit Hans Muller Jewelers, located in Attica, or call today at 585-591-1440.
Back to action, fourth quarter. 26-point game. Leroy dominating. Woodworth, the jumper, no good. Rebound goes to the Rams. Augusto can't get the finish. Ricker on the rebound. Aquilina couldn't get the finish, couldn't get the second finish. Looks like he may head the line here. Woodworth in the lane.
We'd like to thank our timeout sponsor, Crazy Cheap Cars, the ultimate in price and selection. Find your next vehicle at crazycheapcars.com. They carry the largest selection of over 150 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs of any dealer in the Genesee region. They need your trade-in. Top dollar paid for your trade, so give them that call at 585-948-8000, or better yet, they'll see you right here. Ice Baby breaking out here during the timeout, presented by Crazy Cheap Cars. Matt Aquilina bringing it up for Roy-Hart, trying to find Dan Aquilina in the high post here, but Woodworth doing a good job of getting position.
Powell, turnaround jumper, and it's good.
There it is from Powell. Nice controlled, off 2 feet. Good touch, follow through. Able to find Nylon there.
All right, AJ, the lone matchup as Augusto finishes inside that we haven't touched on, Notre Dame versus Eugenio Maria de Hostos. What do you know about those two squads as we look forward to that game at about 6:30, I think?
Yeah, 6:30, correct.
Wow, rejected by Higgins, pinned against the backboard. What a rejection from Higgins.
This might be the game of the day between these two small school opponents. Notre Dame lost several key members from last year's team that captured a Section 5 Class C3 title, including Jaden Sherwood, Jay Antonor, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Despite the roster turnover, Notre Dame is off to a great start under head coach Mikey Rapone. The team is 4-1 with wins over Barker, Roy-Hart, Elba, and Lindenville. Some players that have stepped up for Notre Dame this year: TJ Cephas, Chase Antonor, Aiden Balavia, and Mikkel Walker are some of the names for Notre Dame. On the flip side,
a nice finish from Powell.
I'll probably botch this, I just heard you say it, but Eugenio Maria de Hostis is off to a strong start in a competitive Class C1 at 5-1.
Augusto.
The team knocked off Charles G. Finney, Clyde Savannah, North Star, Christian Academy, Letchworth, and Naples, led by head coach Brian Jackson. The team is looking to compete for a small school title here. And again, like Alex mentioned, that game is set for 6:30.
Travel.
Wes Jackson checking in for Roy-Hart.
It's always a tough time for me in the tournament, AJ. The first game starts winding down. That's when they start getting the popcorn going downstairs. Gonna have to grab me some in between games here.
What's the butter to salt ratio you like on your popcorn? Do you have
more salt,
more
than
salt,
butter, but you can't have too much salt.
That is true.
I don't want wet popcorn, that's for sure. And we're going the other way. Checking in for Leroy for the first time tonight is number 35, Aiden Weaver. Weaver, turnaround, no good. Weaver, a familiar name in basketball circles in this area. Jeff Weaver, Notre Dame High School Hall of Famer, helped guide the Irish to a state championship years ago. I think I see Jeff down there, so I'm sure there's a relation. Not sure of the relation, though, so I won't comment on it like you did, AJ, calling the Folletti sisters twins.
There was a reference to the play on the court.
I've done that before plenty of times. I've called cousins brothers. I've called people who aren't even related twins. A lot of mistakes made on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. And bad news for Vinny Fazio of Roy-Hart, as he is on the bench with his foot elevated and on ice, so his night obviously done, and perhaps an extended respite for him due to the injury that he sustained earlier tonight. And there's the finish from Matt Aquilina.
In the NBA, that's an and one, but not here.
Weaver with the finish.
the man in the air, get your spot, pump fake, convert.
Weaver the other way. Turnaround hook shot from Jace Jadrewski, recently inserted into the game. Count it. This one grinding to a halt with these whistles.
We got another game to play. 3 more games to play. Alexander taking the court on the far side.
Let's hope a bit more competitive than this one.
Let's hope.
Dan Aquilina knocks it down from the free throw line. Give Roy-Hart credit. They haven't given up in this game. The effort is still there. As Powell will head to the line now. Just offensively, they haven't been able to answer Leroy's hot stretches. They haven't been able to stop the bleeding, as they say. Powell from the free throw line. And 2 for 2. AJ, got any cash on you?
I might.
You might have to. Oh, and a 3-ball from Jadrewski. You might have to do the purchasing at the concession stand. I may have to do the Venmoing. Maybe they take Venmo. It is 2024. If you're a high school concession stand, you better have a Venmo account.
I agree with that. I see it more and more pop up, so it should be an option for everybody. Venmo's the way to go. Very easy.
Turnaround jumper from Gilligan, no good. Ball back to Roy-Hart. Final minute. Leroy seconds away from advancing to the title game. And watching this team, they may not be within the same classification as Batavia, and Batavia's history in this tournament, mighty impressive. This is a team that can certainly compete with the Blue Devils and perhaps spring to victory. I wouldn't put them as a steep underdog in that game if Batavia is indeed able to take care of business against Attica. But that being said, you can't, as the lay-in there from Cole Tonzi, you can't discount Attica either. They are certainly a team in transition, as you mentioned. They have an experienced head coach, and they do have experience upsetting Batavia in the first round recently, so that'll be an interesting game to watch for WAC and Knight fans. As the finish inside by Matthew Hockey. with 6 seconds remaining, or excuse me, from Tyson McKay with 6 seconds remaining. So a lot of these games on paper seem to be one side heavily favored, but you never know what's going to happen in this tournament. And that's going to do it. Leroy wins it 67-40 for AJ Cybulski. My name is Alex Brasky. We'll see you in about 20 minutes' time. All right, can you get the other one going?